Welcome to another episode of Junior Achievement of South Florida's Recipe for Success. Just as there are no two recipes that contain the exact same ingredients or measurements, there are no two success stories exactly the same. Recipe for Success features entrepreneurs, visionary leaders, and innovators of all ages who will share the ingredients that make them successful. Here's your host, Lori Salarulo, President and CEO of Junior Achievement of South Florida.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Recipe for Success, brought to you by Junior Achievement of South Florida. I'm Lori Salarulo and I'm your host for today. It is such an honor to be the CEO of an organization like Junior Achievement, where we are preparing young students for entrepreneurship, work, and of course for financial freedom and prosperity. And so I really enjoy doing this show. I get to hear from entrepreneurs and leaders about their ingredients to success and share that with all of you. And connect you with these amazing leaders. So this week, I am so proud to be able to host our guest today, Ms. Susie Levan, who is the president and CEO of Susie Levan and Associates and Beehive Publishing. I've known Susie for many, many years, dear friend, an amazing woman. And so let's bring her into our little world. Hello there.
Hi, Lori.
How are you?
So happy to be with you today.
Oh, I am so thrilled. I was introducing you, and I don't know if you could hear me say that I've known you for many years, and you've seen. Let's not say how many. You've seen my children, grow up from very little all the way up, and watched each other go through some reinventions, right, and reiterations of ourselves and businesses, and so. I'm so thrilled to be able to for you to share your wisdom with our followers and our listeners. So, but share with me a little bit today, just how you got to where you are today, right? Talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. As a woman, I think that plays into this, right? Because I think that when you started out as an entrepreneur, right, things are a little bit different than today. So share with us a little bit about your journey.
Well, you are so right. I started a very long time ago. I don't want to talk about the then, but my dad actually was one of the first people that I really enjoyed watching and learning from. I was his little right-hand person, his project manager. He was in construction, and I saw him really grow into a serious entrepreneur by buying and flipping houses. So I learned how to do that with my father. And he was a plasterer, and he worked 24 hours a day. I'm not kidding you, 7 days a week. He would buy houses because he wanted us to move from a rental to a home that he was proud of, that he had now changed the kitchen, the bathrooms, the flooring, the walls. And I learned all of those aspects from him. And then my maternal grandmother, God rest her soul and God rest my dad's soul, both of them passed away long ago, decided that she wanted to earn some extra money. And even though she babysat the grandkids, and there were a lot of us, she ended up buying a double wide playpen and got neighborhood children during the day from 8 to 5 so that the mothers could go work. And she was making extra money. And I don't know how long ago or how long you've been in Florida, but there used to be a department store called J. Byron's.
Right.
Well, that was like, to have a J. Byron's card was like the creme of the creme. My parents and my grandparents were immigrants from Cuba. And so we were, one of the few people in the neighborhood that actually had to learn how to speak English. In fact, when I was in first grade, my first language was Spanish. I had to learn how to speak English. And for 6 months, I had no idea what the teacher was saying. I was literally, my mother would drag me to school. I was crying every single day. I didn't understand what they were saying. But the kind Mrs. Anderson, my teacher, which I will never forget, took me under her wing And, as a 6-year-old, you'll learn the language very quickly. And I would watch TV and I would listen to the children, and I got to learn English. So that was a very interesting time for me.
Yeah.
And my grandfather played Berlitz records, learning the language. He worked in an eyeglass factory. So everyone in my family was their religion was work and entrepreneurship and how to get ahead, because that's what it was about. So I learned a lot from each and every one of them. So in high school, something came up where I was able to sign up for a course called Vocational Office Education. And for 11th and 12th grade, I got to learn a lot about business management, business law, typing, shorthand, and a vocation, if you will. And in fact, during that summer between my 11th and 12th grade, I got to go to Eastern Airlines and intern there, which myself and another student were the ones chosen. So it was a huge deal. And I mean, it was beyond anything I could have imagined. And so that really started me on the quote unquote, being in business. I loved every minute of it. And it was very Mad Men kind of time where everybody was drinking and smoking and wearing stockings and looking cool. And, back in the day, I don't want to say what the day is, but, that took me a long way. I then took a lot of other business courses and landed at a job from 1972 to 1988, where I grew up the ladder, came in as secretary to the president. And then by the time I left the company, I was chief operating officer and had learned a lot about running a company and a business, because it had started down at the bottom. I started at the bottom. So we got to grow together. And so everything from the mailroom to, marketing to accounting to property management to every aspect of the business, I now learned, right, because I was there at the right time. So that was very exciting.
So to come from the bottom to become a chief operating officer, right, is pretty amazing. What is it, if you could maybe pinpoint one or two things that you think, what made you stand out, right? Especially in this time, people are out of jobs. We're into a whole new technological age, right? And so, well, you obviously made yourself extremely valuable to the company. So can you maybe share one or two things that you think were critical to you advancing the way you did through the company?
I think it's work ethic, which my family basically had taught me. And I watched as I grew up, working long hours, persevering, being on call for anything and everything. So I knew that they knew that I cared about the company. It wasn't just about an hourly or a salary. I was there to support the company, and I was their best employee, and that's how I saw it. But I felt that I was an owner. I didn't treat it as if it were somebody else's company. I treated it like I owned the company, and I managed the dollars. I managed what came in, what came out. If I hired people, I wanted them to be smarter than me, to give me more knowledge, and to make everything better. So and as a boss, people always said to me, what I love about you is that you're always happy, you're always upbeat, you're always authentic, and you're always honest, no matter what the news is that you have to, tell somebody. And I think that's very important when you are a boss, right? And also celebrate and have fun and celebrate other people's achievements.
Yeah. I think you talk about mindset, right? That ownership mindset. And I think that's, I've heard people say, junior achievement, because Alan was an alumni. And so I know you know a lot about it. You all have been supporting us for many years. Thank you. And so it's interesting because I've heard people have said to me, oh, but not every kid wants to become an entrepreneur. And that's not what we're trying to do, right? At the end of the day, if they decide to become an entrepreneur, that's great. And if they don't, that's okay too. But there is an employee mindset and there's an ownership entrepreneur mindset. And so I think you hit the nail on the head. And that's what we're trying to do.
I think that's how you stand out. I think that's also how you go up the ladder. When people say to me, as a woman, to me, I had reached what I thought was that glass ceiling, in that I left the company. I know I would have been the president. It was just a matter of I was a victim of a crime in 1988. And so I no longer went back to work to that position, if you will. And so my life changed radically, but I would have stayed there doing what I was doing. And I know that I would have continued moving up the ladder. I was very fortunate that I stood out, not just because I was a woman, but because I treated everything as an owner.
As if
And it's just my personality. For instance, when I was in junior high, I sold Girl Scout cookies. And, just like my grandchildren today, they are like, sending out emails and getting people to get more cookies and all the things that they do. I did it back then, back in the day when it was you were knocking on doors.
Right.
I was raising money for March of and filling up the little card. I was selling T-shirts and designing teddy bears. So I was always trying to figure out how to make money. In fact, at 15, I went to work on the weekends because I wanted Weejuns. You remember Weejuns, where you put the little penny loafers?
All right.
And the madras, wraparound skirts. And anyway, those were the clothing that was the hip kids would wear. My dad said to me, if you want those clothes, you'll have to go work for them.
Yeah.
So I immediately got a job at Eagle Army Navy, and I told him I was 16 when I wasn't. And from Saturdays and Sundays, I would work at Eagle Army Navy to earn my money. And again, I was learning how to use a cash register, customer service, filling the shelves, making sure the inventory. I mean, there was a lot of parts. It's not just a job. And I always take everything, like when I read a book, Lori, I'm a voracious reader. And it's something I really want to leave your audience with. And that is, when you read a book, read it as if you're going to teach it to someone else.
Right. Yeah.
Because you learn it. And I read a lot of self-help books. And so and of course I teach my wisdom circle, which I've been teaching for the last 25 years of C-suite women, professional women that really look forward to receiving knowledge, information, feedback, and professional advice, really. So after 1998, through 1994, I was able to go through some therapy and went back to school, became a pastoral counselor, a life coach, a hypnotherapist, a teacher of meditation, a Reiki Master. I did a lot because I felt that I needed new credentials for what my next part of my journey was going to be. And that was about, period, empowering women. That was what I knew my passion and purpose was now in this lifetime. And then I created in 1999 the Work-Life Balance Institute for Women, which was a 501c3. And from there, one of the projects was Balance Magazine. The Work-Life Balance Institute also created our annual conferences with 1,500 women at Signature Grand. You were there.
I was there.
And our power networking luncheons. And you know what? Still today, I am so close with my staff. We closed in 2009, so it's almost 11 years now. And so it's been really an amazing, that was a wild ride. And I would not change that for the world, because I got to spend time with so many amazing women. They changed my life forever.
So having, and doing what you still do with the circle and the all of these, like you said, high powered, high level executives. What is the one thing, Susie, if you were to say, what is that one thing, that one ingredient, right? We call it the main ingredient of the recipe that you really try to leave them with, right? And you think is kind of that one key to their success, whether it's spiritual, physical, mental. What would that be? I want to know.
Well, it's a really good question. And honestly, what I share with my group and still do to this day is meditation is my superpower. Meditation. And a lot of people are confused over what meditation is. And, they think it's something ooga booga or something complicated or something difficult or something. In fact, I tell people and they go, oh, I can't meditate. I can't quiet my mind. I can't do this. I can't do that. And I say to them, that's not what a meditation is. Meditation is about really connecting with your breath and breathing and being focused with that breath. Do you breathe? The answer is, of course. So then everyone can meditate. We do all have 60,000 thoughts. And meditation is not about turning off those thoughts because you never will. So it's really about connecting with that. And what happens with meditation, Lori? It makes you more productive. It allows you to sleep better. It gives you a mental clarity that you didn't have before. You receive all sorts of intuitive thoughts that come in that make you a better employee, boss, individual, better with your relationships. There's scientific, proven scientific studies of the power and the benefits of meditation. So it really doesn't require a whole lot of time. And we're very lucky that today there are YouTube videos, there are apps, there are classes. And in fact, on my website at getintoforgiveness.com/meditation, I gifted the universe with 2 meditation guided visualizations for anyone to be able to listen to.
Right.
And so that's really my superpower. And I reinforce that every time we meet because it's something that changed my life when I needed to heal. All right. And without learning it 32 years ago, I don't think I would be in the same place today. It changed my life forever. It brought such peace. It brought such peace into my heart and in my mind. It got rid of stress and anxiety, especially today with what's going on. If people just meditated for 5 minutes, Lori, twice a day, it would change how their whole perspective would change as to what's going on. We can't change what's happening outside of us.
Exactly.
All we could do is change what's happening inside of us. And once you are in a different place, literally, it will change how you act, how you react, what your thoughts are. My favorite book, and I'll leave you with this, is by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Who's a psychiatrist that actually survived the Holocaust. And in his book, he talks about the fact that the Nazis controlled everything about his life. Where he slept, what he ate, what he did all day long. But what they couldn't control was his thoughts. Right? His thoughts. And what did he think about? He thought about the beauty of nature, the blue sky, the green grass, which, by the way, didn't exist. It was freezing. It was cold. He didn't have any shoes on. He got 2 pieces of bread a week. His mind, he decided that he would control his mind, and he was hoping to see his wife, and he would visualize his beautiful wife, and he would want to see her again. And so he created a purpose and a meaning to be able to survive. And guess what? While others gave up, he survived. And this book, by the way, has sold millions and millions of copies because of that message. Only you can control your thoughts. No one can change that. And that will change everything else about your exterior.
Absolutely. So so many good things that I write my notes as I'm going because I want to make sure that I remember the things that everybody shares. And so a magazine, being a COO, doing conferences, writing books, your circle, right? And consulting with women and guiding them and coaching them. What's next for Susie Levan? Because I know you're not done yet.
You know what? I take one step at a time. I'm very, very excited to be working with N.D.E and Company, who have put out a tremendous amount of effort publicizing and making sure Getting to Forgiveness was the #1 Amazon book like a week after it came out. Woo! I was very excited. And that was a milestone. And I just had a fabulous article on U.S. News and World Report, and on Yahoo, and on Martha Stewart, and on. They have just done a tremendous amount of things that I could have not done by myself. So it's all about having a team of people that are there to support you. And, maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's a blog, maybe it's a movie, which is really my goal. I would love Getting to Forgiveness to become a movie. And so I'm putting that out there for the universe to see if the possibility exists.
Yes, I think probably you were the person who taught me about putting things out there to the universe, for sure. Because I know I didn't know that before I met you. And so thank you for that. And so many good things. I mean, talking about work ethic, right? And how that has really been so much a part of your life and everything that you have done and everything that you have accomplished. That ownership mindset, whether you own the company or not, so important, right? And I say that all the time. And it's really been interesting during this time to watch our team go from being employees to that mindset, that ownership mindset, because they're saying, hey, wait a minute, we got to pull together here and make it through this, right? She can only do so much as the CEO, but we've got to pull together and figure out what this is going to look like going forward. And so watching them, I have to tell you, has been one of the greatest rewards for me during this time, is watching them grow and really shifting their mindset. It's been such a pleasure. I love you said, you talked about hiring and surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you. And I think that is such a key for us to grow. We don't have to know everything. We can have people who are smarter. Meditation.
Who are you going to learn from if it's not from someone else? I mean,
Exactly. And
I will always be a student of everything, because that's how you get to do and learn from others.
Yeah. And you said you love to read self-help books. I'm a leadership development geek, I guess. I mean, if you look at my desk, there are 7 books there that either I've read, and there's a couple that I'm about to read. And they're all around growing and learning to be a leader, whether it's in the community, whether it's in my family, whether it's with our team and our organization. So whatever it is. The other thing then, and you mentioned internships and work experience. And I love when I hear people talk about that, because it really just reinforces for me the importance of what we're doing with these young people, especially with our high schoolers going through that entrepreneurial program or through the career bound program and preparing them for work. We are the only junior achievement putting kids in jobs at the end of those programs. And so I know I learned a lot of my job skills, right? And absolutely the things that helped to make me successful were learned on the job by experiencing them, by seeing leaders like you who I knew I wanted to be like, and seeing leaders who I knew I didn't want to be like, right? That's how I learned. And so it's so important that we make sure that we give young people today that same opportunity that we had, right? And so thank you for sharing that. And then meditation, if we can leave anybody with that one superpower, that one main ingredient, right? It's taking that 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon or in the evening to just connect with yourself and your soul and just focus on, like you said, your thoughts and what's that?
So Lori, you take a deep breath, a deep belly breath. You breathe in 4 seconds. You close your eyes right now. Deep breath, 4 seconds. Hold for a count of 4. And exhale to a count of 4 through your mouth like you're blowing a balloon.
It just relaxes you instantly.
Instantly, you do that 4 or 5 times. Put a timer on either your phone or an egg timer, and your stress levels go down. Hey, Patrick.
Look
And,
who I got. So Patrick is the producer of the show. It is pretty much almost inevitable that he will make an appearance on most shows.
it was this big when I met him.
Are you bringing my stand?
Say hi to Susie.
Hi.
Well, that's my cue. When Patrick gets on the set, I know it's time. The producer is telling me that I need to end the show. But you know that I adore you and thank you so much for sharing. Because your perspective, thank you, my love. Your perspective to me is always so different. And I that sounds crazy, but I think that it is because you come from, because of your training and your degrees and your practice and what you've been doing all these years with women, you come from a different place than most business people. And I love that about you. Thank you, honey. And so, here's the show. Thank you. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for being with me today, and congratulations on the success of the book. I am looking forward to the movie. We'll keep putting that out there, and the podcast and all those things, because I know that this journey is not over for you. And be well.
Absolutely.
Take care of yourself and your family.
Love and light to you and your audience. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Take care.